the opportunity here is go long on Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a solution to every tech company and every finance company in the world. The layer one, the core monetary asset is Bitcoin. It's decentralized property, decentralized energy, and a commodity. The layer twos, there's going to be a lot of maneuvering there as to whether or not the layer twos are Lightning or whether the layer twos are another crypto network that's permissioned or not. And there's going to be continual jockeying back and forth because of the AML KYC issues around them. Can you construct a decentralized exchange and, that doesn't implement AML KYC that will still be deemed as acceptable, and that's going to be a bit controversial. And the layer threes are going to be the NYDIGs and the PayPals and the Squares of the world and the Coinbases and the Binances and the FTXs of the world. And the question is going to be what jurisdictions will they operate on and what range of products and services will they offer, right? Fidelity's been fairly conservative. Binance has been very aggressive. And then and Coinbase is not nearly as aggressive as Binance or FTX. But even so, Coinbase is, if you actually listen to that testimony, Gensler said Coinbase has not registered with us, even though they have dozens of tokens that may be securities, right? So from his point of view, I think he would like to see more registration from even the onshore exchanges. Coinbase does a great job of AML KYC, and a lot of tokens have been unlisted, right? Delisted from Coinbase.
Yeah.
Did you see how Uniswap delisted 100 tokens?
Did they? Don't follow it.
Yeah, about a month ago. And there's a SEC action with regard to Uniswap. I think that if you're an institutional investor and you just want to make an investment and sleep well at night and hold it for a decade or 100 years, then you buy Bitcoin. If you're a crypto venture capitalist and if you're looking for fast 100x returns and you're willing to break all this down, maybe you go into these other spaces. But I think you have to study and parse every word that goes on between the regulators and Congress. And if you're going to be in crypto ventures, you really need to be tracking very carefully the evolving regulatory, opinions of every jurisdiction, from China to Europe to EU to, Singapore to whatever. And you're going to have a lot more anxiety. There's a lot more risk, and maybe there's upside. I mean, you talk about risk curve. You're on a risk curve.
Yeah, you are. And maybe there's catastrophic risk in that as well. I mean, I'm not a big player of that alt space outside of ETH, really. But I'm interested in it just because I'd like to see how it develops, because it's just very interesting times. Now, use cases that get developed on one protocol can end up on another. A lot of things can end up on the Bitcoin protocol, and that's interesting.
I think that the technical opportunity is digital finance, and digital finance means I want to move my money at the speed of light 1 million times a second to the highest bidding counterparty with security, right, with trust. And so you can achieve that a number of different ways. I don't think that the old line traditional finance companies will get there very soon, right? My money would be probably on a crypto-friendly exchange that managed the regulatory issues with a degree of deftness, right? I mean, the highest velocity is sitting in the crypto exchanges, but they've just got to work through the legal issue. If they can work through the regulatory issues, like KYC and AML, and what tokens they can list and not list, and whether or not they're allowed to give yield products or not, then I think they win. Otherwise, then it comes down to just a matter of marketing. Like if Apple were to get into the business and offer, Bitcoin on Apple Pay or something like that, or Google, they've just got these massive marketing machines, or Facebook. So the big guns haven't really entered the space.
No, but they're coming.
The mid guns, right? Square and PayPal are having some success. I mean, 2/3 of Square's revenue is Bitcoin. Like, so you could make the argument, who's created the most value? Well, Coinbase has got a $50-60 billion market cap, but Square's got a $125 billion market cap. Or is it PayPal that's sitting on a $330 billion market cap, up $100 billion, you know, and somewhat materially fueled by Bitcoin exposure and crypto exposure? So I think those are interesting places to watch. But I would say anybody that's going to be a crypto investor probably ought to parse every single word coming out of Congress, the Senate, and the regulators.
Because change is coming.
They matter. And I don't think they mattered as much for the last 4 years. I think the market was dominated from 2016 to 2020 by the offshore leveraged exchanges, and it was the Wild West. And I think that 2020 to 2024, this is the institutionalization. The good news is there is broad consensus that this is technology that's critical to the future of the economy. And you have a lot of senators, Senator Toomey, Senator Lummis, a lot of politicians, a congressional caucus, and you even have a lot of regulators, including Gensler himself, saying, look, Satoshi's innovation is real. He said it on the record, right? The subtext of everything, by the way, Raul, is that the regulators are not questioning whether Bitcoin is commodity. That's the story, right? If there's one story. So there is a lot of broad-based support for digital property and for decentralized property. And it's clear it's here to stay, at least in the Western world. The Chinese aren't quite so clear on it. In places where people don't like property rights, like Cuba or North Korea, who knows what they'll do. But in the Western world where property rights are respected, this is just digital property. And the consensus is, if you disclose it, if you let us know, if you pay your taxes on the capital gains when you get capital gains, and if you abide by AML KYC procedures, then it's good property and it's an alternative to real property or security or anything else. So that's the good news. But the real uncertainty is, how is every regulatory jurisdiction going to normalize this, and then how are they going to treat all the other tokens? And nobody knows.
No,
nobody knows, but everybody's talking about it.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. I mean, the EU as well. I mean, there's a whole lot of stuff. So as you say, regulation is going to be a feature of our lives. You know, I know the space originally thought that could get around regulation, but it's not going to. It can't do.